Like,
Pretty funny.
hello and welcome to TMC. We will get started in just a minute. Is it cold there? Do you have snow?
No snow, although so my computer's saying 58 degrees. So it's been, chilly, not horrible. I'm not hearing people getting the normal sicknesses.
That's good.
Yeah. But I heard snow in Chicago, Minnesota, Montana, 3 inches, like not a small amount.
50 degrees here, so Texas is cooler than New York. What's wrong with that?
That's surprising.
Yeah.
I was on a call with somebody yesterday in Texas, and it was 80 degrees.
Yes, it was. It's
Yeah.
supposed to be 40 tomorrow. So. Hi, and
Impressive.
welcome to TMC Connect. We have now just updated you on the almost coast-to-coast weather reporting, so you're welcome for that. My name is Tony Brandley, and I am the Director of Business Development here at the Mortgage Collaborative. Thank you so much for stopping by TMC Connect today. We've got a great session for you. Brad Ketcher with Ignite Integration Solutions is going to be talking about creating scalability within the LOS. But before I turn it over to Brad, just want to let you guys know that we want this to be engaging. So please feel free to drop your questions or your comments in the Q&A or the chat, and we'll be taking those at the end of the presentation. And then also there'll be a follow-up email that comes out tomorrow. It's going to have a link to the YouTube video as well as Brad's deck that he's going to be showing us. So thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate your time today. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brad.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. And thank you to all the attendees for taking some time out of your day. Really appreciate you joining on this webinar. And I'm going to try to make it as quick as possible in the sense of going through a couple of robust solutions, but at the same time as thorough. Please do not hesitate to ask any questions or put something into the chat, and then Tony can either interrupt me so this way I can address your question or concern right then and there. Otherwise, we could save it till the end. And also just want to say thank you so much to the Mortgage Collaborative, also known as TMC. Ignite has been a vendor partner since the beginning. TMC fosters an amazing environment with open communication and training amongst its members. TMC also, as you can see, hosts webinars that are incredibly informative on a regular basis. So a quick introduction about Ignite. That we were formed a decade ago in 2013. Our focus is automating the residential mortgage environment. Specifically, we've been focused on Encompass, but we've also worked with other LOSs such as Meridian Link Mortgage, Byte, and we've explored a few others. As a company, we have a dozen developers, several Encompass admins, and at the same time, we have project managers, business analysts, and so forth. All employees, except for our developers, have been in the mortgage world for a number of years. This allows us to truly understand the mortgage language, the challenges, the complexities, and the issues that you're facing. This enables us to craft custom solutions that fit your specific needs. And I always say that our solutions are 80-20, 80% off the shelf, and then 20% configured for your specific needs. We really do cater to our clients. So I see that there are several of our clients on the call right now and several prospects. So I'll say that we really focus on making sure that our solutions fit within your workflow to ensure that the user adoption is there. So jumping into the presentation, so you'll see that this is my information. You'll see it on the bottom of the screens as we go forward. And I'll also, or TMC will send you an email afterwards with a copy of this presentation. So in terms of scalability, so on the screen, you're able to see 3 questions that you need to continually ask yourself during this webinar. So first and foremost, what does your process look like today? Did you try to implement any changes over the last 2 to 3 years? How did they roll out? Was it effective? Was there adoption? And did the vendor deliver what they had promised? So those are all questions that should be continually asked. And in terms of implementing a new LOS, there are a lot of people that tried to implement a new LOS over the last 3 years. I have to assume that it was rushed as much as possible just to meet the demands of the business channels. And with that, normally the default is to replicate the old LOS. So now that there's a lull in the industry, it's a great opportunity to review what the processes are and can it be better, which then segues into tech debt. So technical debt, the definition is really the implied cost when business does not fix problems that will affect them in the future. A great example is when boarding a new loan with a sub-servicer. Most of the time, it's a user taking multiple reports, merging them together, looking for data points, reconfiguring the data points where it's like purchase equals P, or single family is a 1, condo is a 3, and a high rise is a 4. Like, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of work that goes into loan boarding. And that's just one prime example. There could be a lot of tech debt. And now, once again, since there's a lull, is at the end of the year before business starts picking up again in February and March. Let's hope that now is the time to evaluate and start working on change for the next mortgage season. We all have manual processes, each and every one of us. And we have to ask ourselves, how can it be better? We need to find the time and the desire, to be honest with ourselves, to implement that change. This is where managers really need to start like forcing the implementation of change. Companies today have a skeleton crew. So the question is, what's going to happen when rates suddenly drop? So let's be honest, the gloom and doom is not going to last forever. And if we start evaluating what's happened in the past, back in 2009 and 10, rates dropped considerably at a lightning speed. Then in 2018, rates went up. 2020, rates went down. And then, of course, this year, rates went up. So with program trading, rates are going at a much faster pace than they ever have. So the thing is that this is where we really need to start working on scalable solutions, so that as volume starts moving up or down at any pace, at any leap, be it up or down, then the solution itself will not be impacted, but the productivity will be there when it's needed. Automation, in my opinion, is really what allows the best scalability for an environment. That's something that Ignite focuses the most on. We're all about automation. It is API first, API second, API third. That is, it has better longevity. It's not impacted as much by other changes within the systems. Robotic process automation is something we're not a fan of because it tends to be slower. The amount of time that it takes a user to jump into a loan and to exit a loan is the same amount of time that robotic process automation, or RPA, would take. So from that perspective, working with APIs or even SDK is significantly faster than RPA. And on top of that, we found that RPA is prone to breaking and requires a lot more maintenance than any other type of solutions. Here's a quick overview, and then I'm going to start jumping into a few solutions. But on the Ignite side, you could see that for QC, we can find a loan, flag a loan, pull out data points, pull out documents, send it over to the QC provider. So if you think of pre-close or post-close, we can make that a fully automated process. I see IncoCheck is here. They changed their name to QC Ally, but we are working with all the top tiers of most vendors in most industries. In terms of payment processing, we could automatically flag a loan that if you want to have a borrower pay for the credit report, pay for the appraisal, or pay for anything else, condo review fee, then we could automatically send them a link. They could pay with a credit card, and especially for Encompass, we could house all the transaction, when it was sent out, what the corresponding success number is, and help out with workflows within the Encompass system. And in terms of vendors, we have Total Expert. We can help you out implement them as a CRM. They're also the Mortgage Collaborative vendor and a great counterparty. And forms we could automatically generate, and so forth. This catalog I could also send after our demonstration. And today, what I want to go through is e-folder cleanup, OCR solution. Just from a high level, I could go much deeper if you want after this call. Condition automation, Audit Explorer, Docs on Demand, MSR sales, and MISMO 3.4. So here is an Encompass environment. So Ignite has multiple Encompass environments that we do our development and testing in. So I'm going to bring up let's see, for OCR, I'll go through that first. So a lot of times, especially on wholesale and correspondent, then you're receiving either one PDF that has multiple documents in it, or you're receiving documents that just have odd names. So in the e-folder, what I'm going to do right now is go into File Manager. So I have no documents here. Okay. And then if I go into File Manager, I'm going to add certain documents. And then right here up top, I'll just say document 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it has no names associated to them. This is our, let's see. So I'm just going to save the file, exit, and our applications are running on a 5-minute interval. So let's see, I'm going to exit, save, and that should be set up fine. Let's see, actually, I forgot to do one thing. So since it's in our dev environment, I am going to flag the loan for processing. And let's see, so the concept of the OCR solution is that what we can do is we could take a single PDF and break it up into its multiple parts. That's the first thing. The second thing is we can identify certain documents. So here, let me go back in just to kind of flag the loan for staging. So we could identify certain documents and then allow you to rename it. Okay, so hold on. In a live environment, you would not need that step. And by the way, here's a form with blank details. So I'm also going to pull in some data points into this form, and that could be greatly expanded. So if you're looking for, let's say, again, on the wholesale side, if you have certain documents, we can auto-populate the fields based on the data that's been provided. So let me exit out of here, and then I'll go into the next solution. So as of right now, in terms of the OCR, we are working with a third party, just to be transparent, that has a phenomenal OCR solution. And we've worked with them in terms of calibrating into what we expect an Encompass user is looking for. So one, we could break apart PDFs. Two, we could rename documents. So, and then on top of that, we can bring in data points. We have a whole roadmap of what we're trying to do with the OCR solution. So again, if anybody's interested from that perspective, please reach out. I'm happy to share that with you and even work with you if you're looking to be a prospect user of that solution. So I'm going to let that kind of, basically sit and bake for a bit. The reason why is we have the application running every 5 minutes. So in the next 3 minutes, it should wake up and be used. And then I have Ignite's e-folder cleanup. So I've already staged this loan, so I'll just go into the e-folder and show you. This is what a normal e-folder looks like when it's ready for clear to close, or at any stage, pretty much. You have a lot of document placeholders. When you're ordering services, you're going to get a new document placeholder, which is going to be right here. So it's bank statements with the document. A lot of times everything's flagged as current version. So this is current version with bank statement 1. I'm going to exit out of here, go into this, and this is going to be bank statement 2, and that's also current version. So Encompass, in my opinion, and apologize, but a lot of this conversation, this webinar is going to be centered on Encompass. It is, a lot of these solutions can be used for other LOSs, but for the demonstration purposes, it'll be Encompass based. So when running services, which is on the service tab right here, you're going to get a new document placeholder, and that could cloud up the e-folder significantly. What our solution is, it's choose your own adventure, that if you want to merge multiple document placeholders into one, you can. If you want to rename a document placeholder, you can. Let's see. And then again, I'm just staging this just for a demonstration, but you would not need to do that in a live environment. So let me exit out of here. So we can merge document folders. We can rename document folders. We can uncheck current version and only keep the last one as current version if need be. And then we could also remove empty document folders after a certain point. So once I get out of here, which should just take a couple of seconds, normally with Encompass and live webinars, it kind of slows down the system. So one thing I wanted to do is take a screenshot. I didn't, so let me jump into this loan in sandbox mode. So this way it's not going to interrupt any type of solutions or people trying to gain access to the loan. And if I go into the e-folder, I'm going to take a snapshot. Okay, so now we could see the before and after. Okay, so leaving here, and by the way, with Sandbox, you could pretty much do any type of scenarios that you're looking for, but not save the loan. So it is 2:14. I'm just going to wait just a couple of seconds, and then you're going to see that the loan's going to start getting grayed out. And then what I'm going to do is create a new loan and show you our condition manager. So, and then you can see that this loan is grayed out. So that's Ignite's application working on it. If I right click and go into our knock knock tool, you can see it's Ignite services, and it's telling you who's occupying the loan. So jumping into, so I'm going to let these kind of like sit, and I'll jump into them in just a moment. So Ignite's condition manager. So we are able to manage standard conditions or enhanced conditions. So on a normal loan file, on standard conditions, you're going to have preliminary conditions, underwriting conditions, and post-closing. I've only heard of 1 or 2 companies actually use the post-closing conditions, but it's there if need be. So we have where you could add a condition, modify, delete. So I'm going to add a condition. And so this is the prep work. Let me pause here and just say that Ignite can do all the discovery for you. We can extract your 200, 300 conditions, create a spreadsheet, add 2 columns in the spreadsheet, and then put like basically in English, what we're trying to accomplish in one column, and then the logic in the other. For example, all loans. So if a loan is, you need an identification for any type of loan. So that will be all loans would be in column, left column, and then the right column will be if loan amounts greater than 0. So this way you capture all the loans. Let's create for gift funds. Okay. And then I'll say that this is 2023-11. If we wanted to get into that, or for change management, I can write a whole paragraph here, 2023. Let's see, and I could say Suzanne asked for this. From here, we have the 3 different folders. That's for standard conditions. Our user interface looks a little bit different, but acts very similarly for enhanced conditions. So I could get into, I can make this preliminary, and then I have 2 choices, regular or automated. Automated means when I click save, it's going to go through the loan file to see if any logic has been met, and then those conditions are going to be applied. Regular means that it's going to be a drop down, so it could be more manually controlled. And then from here, I select on the conditions I care about, hit OK, and then I start adding my logic. So if I put in field 220, which is gift funds, I can say that's greater than 0, greater than 0, I hit OK, and then now I've created my rule. That's simple. So now anytime field 220 is greater than 0, I'm going to have these 3 conditions applied to that loan. On top of that, you can see that there's a bracket and 220. So we're able to populate the condition with details from that loan file. So this way, borrowers are not receiving a conditional approval with $ and underscores, which kind of looks like it's more of a template versus catered to them. So instead, now we could say we're looking for whatever it is, $1,789.36 right then and there. So I could also add other conditions. So I'll just say yes. And then if I want to add another condition, let's say for income, self-employed. Okay, again, I could write a whole paragraph here, and that's just helping out with change management. And if I scroll down, I could look for my income. I found personal tax statements, P&L, and you could see that document placeholders are starting to be added to the folder, to the E folder if that condition's met. I could go into tax transcripts and anything else I need. That's probably it. So I have a few conditions here that I'm going to add to, and let's see. And then when creating the logic, I can, if I do not know the field, I could click on my binoculars. This is going to show all the fields that are available to me. It's really important. Our solution does not require the field to be in the reporting database, which means you have about 25 to 30,000 Encompass fields that you can use for logic. On top of that, 100% of your custom fields can be used for logic. So the only caveat that we have is virtual fields we generally do not recommend using. and that's the only caveat that we might not be capturing. But if I'm looking for submitted milestone, so I found that, okay, I could add that. I could say that it is not empty. So now we know that the submittal milestone has been accomplished, and I could add in, I could use the binoculars again, just to show you. If I type in CX, it's like, I mean, you can see my scroll bar, it's every one of my fields is available. Otherwise, I know FE0115 is for the borrower. If they're self-employed, hit OK. And then FE0215 is if the co-borrower is self-employed, hit OK. Add parentheses. So you could really build, if you think of Excel, you could build any type of logic that you're looking for. I double click on the and, gives me a drop down for an or, and then voila. So I have it that the submitted milestone has been accomplished and either borrower one or co-borrower one is self-employed. Hit OK, and I'm good to go. Okay, so let's see. Chances are these are probably all finished, but let me just finish on this theme. I'm going to create a brand new loan. So this way you can see how it works. Select template. And when you have a fresh loan, there should not be any conditions associated to that loan. So I'm just going to put in a few data points, and then I'm going to show you how the Ignite solution is going to work. Let's see. So I can say conditions, TMC as the last name. And then let's see. I'll say this is a purchase. And I could say non-permanent resident alien, and let's see, separated. So going into the E folder, there, let's see, are a few documents that are just pre-scripted. Here's preliminary, is nothing. Underwriting conditions are none, and post-closing, of course, that should be none as well. So I have no conditions at all. I'm going to hit save. There's no loan number here, so now it's loan number 220. If I go into the E folder, like that was quick. So I just created a brand new loan. If I go into preliminary conditions, oh, sorry. So here, let me, so the first one is saving, creating a loan. And then by saving a second time, that now that the loan has been created, now it's going to go through the normal logic that it has. So you can see that the automated condition button is here. So the system is just kind of operating at this moment. So but when it's finished, I can show you what the condition automation button looks like. And the great part here is that we have a whole blend of customers using this solution. So some are just normal retail, others are direct to consumer, wholesale, correspondent. So whenever they receive a loan file, I have some companies that are only using they want it to manually apply the conditions, the underwriters. And let's see, Encompass taking some time right now. And so sometimes the underwriters want to have a little bit more capability of managing the loan themselves. So here, going to the E folder, I have additional document placeholders are there. Going to preliminary conditions, here are preliminary conditions, right? So we had them labeled as divorce. So now I have child care and divorce decree. It's an FHA loan, so that went in there. It's a purchase, so we had a couple of items. There's non-permanent resident alien. So you can build out, I'd say a normal environment might have 300 conditions, and you could probably build rules for probably 250, maybe 270 of those conditions. When you get into letters of explanation, then that's a lot more challenging to create. So that's that. And then here are the automated conditions. I could apply it this way. So getting into scalability, I feel like that is a big win for the company. All right, so I'm exiting here. I'm going to go back into for our OCR solution, just to look at the documents that they should have been read, renamed, and then you could build rules to push them into the specific document folders, and also see if they scraped any data off the loans. And then after that, I'll go into the e-folder loan and I can show you like one or two other solutions, just being cognizant of time. There we go, should be out very soon. Again, I always find that Encompass is slower whenever I do a webinar. So again, if you have any questions at all, please put it into the chat. And yes, hey, Tony, welcome back.
We do have a question.
Sure.
Ignite sits over Encompass as a sign-in into Ignite to get into Encompass, or vice versa. How do you access Ignite through Encompass?
Sure, great question. So in terms of if it's a tool, so you have basically two main types of solutions. You have one is, so here I'll just bring up. So if the solution is a tool, you could put it through the input form builder of Encompass, and that does not require any type of credentials or any links from that perspective. So that is, I want to say, a low technical lift, so to speak. And then on the flip side, if you're looking for an application, so anything that's pulling data out, pulling documents out, that would need credentials. But we can work with you where if you do not want to give us credentials to your production environment, we're completely fine with that. We could operate with any parameters that you want. We can do a screen share and just guide you as if like you're a human robot. We say, do this, do that, type this in, and then enter your own credentials. Normally, we are helping out on the deployment with the test environment, and then we give you the capabilities of migrating it to production. But that also kind of gets into hand-holding. I'll say that we are here for you, for the customer, to make sure that it's a success. So once an engagement starts, then we'll assign a project manager. We'll go through the discovery. We'll do the development, refinement, whatever's needed on our side. We'll help you out with the deployment, and then we'll constantly follow up afterwards. So our engagements, they continue. So it's not as if you're here one day and gone the next. Like, we'll make sure that it's a fit and that it's adopted. All right, so this is from the OCR solution. So if I go into File Manager, there were 4 documents that I put in right here. So just to remind you, it was document 1, document 2, document 3, 4. Okay, and they were able to be recognized. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 documents. These 2 have a prefix of pending review. So the OCR technology is able to apply a competence score, and we internally put 70% as a threshold. So if the confidence score is above 70%, then it is considered good to go. If it's below that, we put a prefix of pending review. If you want that confidence score to be 50, 60, 80, whatever the number is, that's a very, very easy thing for us to change. So if I go into the appraisal, double click it, then you can see that the document here, it's a big document, so I might take, here we go. So the document here is the appraisal. Okay. Then jumping into the screen, I have, let's see. So, and then it was able to populate certain data points off the document. So basically it's 1, recognizing the document, 2, recognizing the format and knowing where the data resides, pulling the data, and then pushing the data in our direction, where we're then populating the loan file with it. So this is the sophistication here is fantastic. OCR was a great thought 2-3 years ago, and then people got hung up with RPA, which I personally think that OCR is probably the best way to obtain lift right now for all environments: retail, wholesale, correspondent. So that's Ignite's review solution. Going into our e-folder cleanup, let me bring up what it looked like beforehand, which is right here. Sorry, which is right here. This is what the e-folder looked like beforehand, where it just a lot of document folders, very few documents, but there were a lot of duplicates. And this is what it looks like now. So if I go into it, we had 3 or 4 different bank statements, 3 or 4 compliance. So we are able to merge it and then uncheck the older current versions. So this way, now it's the newest is the latest. It's a simple spreadsheet. What is it that you want us to identify, process? Do you want us to rename it? Do you want us to uncheck the current version? Do you want us to delete it? There's one vendor that a lot of clients were saying that whenever they have LEs, it was LE pound 1. The second one was LE pound 2, LE pound 3, and so forth. So what we did is we built a dozen rules. If the document name is LE pound 1, change it to loan estimate. Then LE pound 2, change that to loan estimate. So then it was a 2-step process. It would rename LE into loan estimate. And then the next time it ran 5 minutes later, it would notice that there are multiples, and then it would merge the multiples. So this is e-folder cleanup. It is super clean, incredibly effective. So for credit reports, we had 2, and then the old one is unchecked and it's merged. So from this mishmash to this. And the reason why pay stubs is there because we didn't create a rule to eliminate pay stubs. Okay, so let's see, other solutions. So, and then the last one I'll go through is that if you are the audit trail is very good in Encompass, but the other part about it is that here was it, I think it's file 828 is like an old file that I've worked on. So for the audit trail, the more fields you add to it, the longer it takes for the system to update. So what we have created is that the field does not have to be in a reporting database, and then a user could click right here, Audit Explorer, and that's Ignite's version of the audit trail, but beefed up. We're saving the changes into a database. So if I just click on search, then it's going to be populating all the back and forth of what's happened on this loan. And you have a couple of columns here. So if I know the field that I'm searching for, I could just type it in. Otherwise, under description, if I know that income has changed, now all the fields have the word, all the updates have the word income or this. If I type in a couple of letters, and as you can see, it's incredibly fast, incredibly dynamic. And then if I just arbitrarily pick 1758, now I have the whole ping pong match of what has happened on this field, who has done it, and at what time. I could also use a control key and then right click and then export certain rows. I could export this entirety and then send it over to the person who's saying that they didn't make that change. The other part is that if a person makes one field change, but you have ancillary fields that have changed as well, we're capturing all of it. So great example is you change borrow one W-2 income, and then immediately we're like, you have the disposable income has changed, the DTI, the income on the whole column has changed. So we're capturing a lot. The other choice is that you could have it where people can see this, not see it, or we could go middle of the way, that you can actually say there are limited fields that people can see, and within those fields, and then that's what they're able to see. So what do I mean by that is that go into file, persona, and then now I could say that loan officers are able to use this Audit Explorer function, but that they're only able to see limited fields. And then from here, you click and you add the fields, either one by one, or you can just kind of highlight a whole batch. So this is incredibly effective for all types of environments. New to Encompass, have been on Encompass for a long time. So this is really great. Let's see, other ideas. So I'm just going to kind of like high level talk about other ideas that are on this call. So we have Docs on Demand. We have a solution that can pull out any document template at any time and deliver it to an endpoint. So that could be either an on-site server, or we could deliver it to a vendor, or that's been used for MSR sales a lot this year. So great example, you have an audit coming in 3 weeks and you need to pull 1,000 files. What happens? Normally you have 1, 2, 3 different people going into the loan, pulling out the documents, saving it to a server. It's laborious, time consuming, and there's no value of people doing that. Instead, with our solution, use a batch update tool, flag all the loans, and then let our solution just work. And we're processing somewhere around 5,000 loans per week, and those are full loans. So if you have thinner files like prospect loans or older streamline loans, we could pull significantly more than that count. At one point, we pulled somewhere around like 8,000 or 9,000 within a given week. So it all depends on speeds and also bandwidth from the ICE data center. So docs on demand, any document template at any time, and our solution is incredibly malleable to meet your needs. Hello, welcome back, Tony. Do you have a question for me at the moment?
Well, I did have a question. Do your tools slow down Encompass?
So I'll say any technical solution will have to have some type of impact. That being said, we have a list of, I'd say, somewhere around like 50, 60 programs that we sent over to ICE, and it was overwhelmingly something like 90% had 2 milliseconds of what we call latency. 2 milliseconds is completely unnoticeable. And out of all of our solutions, there were only 2 that had greater than 2 seconds. So what I highly recommend is that when you're looking for solutions, that it's okay to ask ICE or ask your vendor or your LOS manager, what's the feedback that you've heard about this company? Are there any speeds that you could share with me? Because the whole thing is that you want slim, you want fast, you want effective. You're paying for services, so of course you want it to be as great as possible. So the answer is like anybody who says no is not being authentic. So the thing is that it is outrageously unnoticeable in terms of the impact that our solutions have on our environment. And if there is any visible latency, let us know, and I can promise you that we'll work on it. And if there's some like I'll say tactical static, or like that if our solutions are competing against the solution that you currently have and that's creating the latency, then we'll just pull it out. So customer service is first, second, and third. Yes. Is there another question by any chance?
Yes. I didn't know, you want to go through these last 2, or you want to?
So I was just saying, like, for docs on demand, so I mean, any documents anytime. MSR sales are normally about documents. That like pulling a report is fairly simple out of any LOS, but we can pull any batch of documents at any time and send that over, and that gets into MISMO 3.4. So that's clearly widely accepted. So if anybody's looking for us, we have the SDK and API solutions for MISMO 3.4 and FANI 3.2. So great example, we just had a company buy out another company 2-3 weeks ago. They recruited us, so we pulled, rather than going to the LOS provider, we pulled all the loan files and then created new loan files in Encompass, and then it was kind of like a trail. So we pulled the old file, the data, we created a new file into Encompass, and then we populated the MISMO 3.4, and then we put the documents in afterwards. Why use us versus the vendor manager? Because we could pick and choose which loans they wanted at whatever pace they wanted. We could also pull out custom fields as well. And so it was a very well hand-holding thing. And within a week, we had all the thousands of loans migrate from one system to the next. And they were up and running in a short amount of time. So just want to put it out there. And these are 7 examples out of, I'd say we probably have 70 to 80 different solutions to talk about. So I'm sorry. Yes. What is the next question? And that was my demo. So anybody that has any questions, please just ask away.
If somebody selects one of your solutions, how long would it take to add it into Encompass?
It depends on the solution. So we have some solutions that could be done the same day as a signed executed contract. So I would like to say that a tool can be in your environment within 48 hours. An application is a little bit more robust, and that could, I kind of say that we operate as fast as a client. So MERS registration, I mean, that's like fully automated. The loan's funded. We pick up 96 data points and send it out. So that's to some degree rinse and repeat. So I would say that MERS could probably be within a week or two. And keep in mind that we really strive for true full automation, not just pulling data and having somebody fill in the manual processes and then pushing it out. Even to our core banking solutions, it is truly vetted in the beginning, built out for you, and it's literally, it could be either fully automatic, or it could be one click, we pick up the loan, the data points, and we push it in fully formatted. So so the answer is it depends on the solution, and I can be very forthcoming, just even during the exploratory phase.
Excellent. And then we received one other question: integration to Scimitar. Is it only doc integration or also loan creation?
So Jack Henry Scimitar is the data piece, and then Jack Henry Synergy is the document side. So we could do either or. Silver Lake is the data piece for banks, but in terms of Scimitar, that is so we can kind of peek into Scimitar at first to see if that member has a placeholder in Scimitar. So great example, like, you know, John Doe creates a mortgage within your company, and what we'll do is we'll look into Scimitar to see if there's a John Doe record. If yes, then we'll create a new record underneath them. If no, then we will create a new record of John Doe into Scimitar. So it depends what you're looking for. We have some banks and credit unions that are just saying, you know, just create a new record, it's no problem. Others that are asking us to take a sneak peek and then add a sub record underneath the master record. So we could handle it either or. And we are a Jack Henry vendor integration partner. So I was just at their conference 2-3 weeks ago in Indianapolis. So we know Jack Henry products incredibly well. And as you can see, we do other core banking solutions as well. So thank you for that question.
One last question. So if the client doesn't know, you know, which one of your products that they would like to select, would you go in and like take a look and make some suggestions?
Oh yeah, I would love to. That's yeah, absolutely. I am a very collaborative person. I'm not pushy. Trust me. I mean, if you have any questions, you want me to take a sneak peek, you want to have a 20-30 minute phone call, or if you want a longer call just to go in depth, the short answer is absolutely yes. Happy to help out, see what you have, what you don't have, and what could be a right fit. We have also different plans. We kind of have like the starter kit to the more robust solutions. If you want Ignite to host any of the applications within our data center and truly manage the applications instead of your staff managing applications, we could do that as well. I mean, so yeah, absolutely. More than happy to just explore, and no cost, no obligations.
Well, thank you so much, Brad. We appreciate your time today. Thank you guys for stopping by TMC Connect. As a reminder, you'll get a follow-up email tomorrow. It'll have a copy of this video as well as Brad's deck, and his contact information will be on there if you want to reach out to him. Thank you so much for the questions, for your engagement and your time today, and I hope everyone has a great weekend. And thank you, Brad. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, TMC. Thanks, Tony. Have a great day.